These are pretty identical. Couldn't find anything that's gonna be like a difference maker. So it's pretty spot on. Kind of scary. What is up, Diverse family? We got another legit check video for you guys today, and today we'll be going over the highly sought after Jordan 1 Travis Scott Fragment collaboration. We'll be going in deep details to show you guys the fake versus the real. So for those of you guys that don't know, this is the Jordan 1 Low OG in collaboration with Travis Scott and the legendary man himself, Hiroshi Fujiwara, creator of Fragment. Originally released in the summer of 2021, we have a complete step-by-step guide to help you not get fooled by fakes out there. So before we get started, just to make it simple for you guys, on the right hand side we will always have the authentic pair, on the left side we will always have the fake pair. So now to start the guide off, one thing I always like to start looking at before I start examining the shoes is always the leather, because I feel like, well, every time they release a shoe, especially like this, the leather has to be on point. So starting with the authentic pair, we can see that the leather is pretty nice and smooth, actually feels nice and soft all the way around as well. Don't see any too many flaws on it. On the fake pair, the toe box is pretty good, but once we move into the back heel area, I can already see a big difference with the scale type looking leather. Super rough compared to the authentic pair. Is nice and soft, so that was a big throw off. Besides that, the side panels and the toe box, the leather is not too bad. Another thing I did notice on the toe box, black leather, not the whole part, but the black leather on this one is a lot smoother. Not too much of the scale hose material on it versus the fake. The holes are a lot more noticeable on the scale type material and a lot rougher as well. The tongue tags are one thing we always look at as well, just because a lot of the fakes don't always get it right. So starting with the real pair, on the tongue tag right here on the Nike Air, right off the bat we can see that it's a lot more darker blue, a lot cleaner blue. On the back side, on the lettering just a lot more visible, doesn't look as blurry compared to the fake. Looks a lot more blurry, super noticeable when you have them side by side. And then the blue in the front is not as bright, not as vibrant. So one huge flaw I noticed on the fakes was the back stamps of the shoes. So on the authentic pair right here, we can see the Travis embossed logo on the back. It's nice and clean. And every time I see the embossed logos with the Travis Scott collaborations, I always see that the leather kind of leaves like an imprint around it. Like it looks like it's pushed in almost. Versus the fake here, we can see that it's just flat. Like it doesn't even go inside of the shoe. This one on the real pair, nice deep cut inside. You can see like the leather running almost like stressed, versus the fake again, just like a little print right over. You can still feel it, but once you have the comparison side by side, it's a big difference. The size of the Cactus Jack logo as well, we can see that the authentic pair is nice and kind of goes with the shape of the shoe, nice size, versus the fake kind of throws it off. The size is a little smaller compared to the authentic here. Stitching is a major part on the real versus fake as well. On the real pair, we can see the stitching is nice and clean all around. Not too many, no flaws at all that I see. Another thing too that I seen when we put the poll up on Instagram, a lot of people thought this one was fake, and the reason was because of the stitching right here. They thought it was sus because of the stitching not going all the way to the swoosh. As you guys can see on the fake, the stitching goes all the way to the swoosh. Now if we go into the stitching on the fake pair, compared to the real pair, we can just see the toe box stitching all the way around. It's like more gappier, it's not as neat and tight. Once you see them side by side, the stitching right here on the side panels, the authentic pair is nice and clean all together, versus the fake, it's kind of cluttery, almost looks like it's all thrown in together. On the side panels as well, on the real pair here, we can see the stitching is nice and clean. Like I said, these things are kind of hard to notice when you're just looking at one shoe, but once you have two of them side by side, you'll just notice how much neater and clean the stitching is all the way around. On this part right here, you can just notice these holes a lot more more gappier than this one. The back area as well, we can see that the heel tab on the fake right here, on the blue heel, it's a lot more noticeable blue on the stitching, and it's a lot gappier as well versus the real pair. The blue kind of matches the color of the shoe, and it's nice and clean all the way around. Now on to the color of the shoe, there's not too many differences, but we did notice on the blue heel tab right here, on the fake pair, it's a lot more dull, not as bright, doesn't go with the shoe overall. You could just tell the blue's a little off, versus the real pair here, nice and clean, kind of gives it a nice shine, almost matches the sock liner in here as well. On the fake pair, we also noticed that the sole, the midsole is a lot creamier than the real one right here. It almost looks kind of yellow. The real pair looks nice. It's creamy, but not as creamy as this one right here. Kind of matches with the laces, so it seems a little bit darker. Kind of goes with the tongue. And we also noticed, we already talked about it, but just a color difference on the tag. A lot brighter blue, more dual on the fake. Now on the side lettering right here of the back heels, we noticed on the authentic pair, it's a lot more bolder and cleaner finish versus the fake. It's a lot thinner lettering, not as bright. Super noticeable when you have an authentic pair and a fake pair right next to each other. Now on the swooshes on the shoe, I couldn't notice any like big differences on the shoe besides the placement of the outside swoosh. Comes a lot closer right here Nice little gap right here versus the fake. Kind of comes in a lot closer to this black panel right here. Not too much of a nice spacing. On the real pair, there's a good space right here. On the black swooshes, honestly, man, these are pretty identical. Couldn't find anything that's gonna be like a difference maker. So it's pretty spot on. It's kind of scary. The only thing I could probably say is the feel of it. The real pair is a lot more smoother if you're just like running your finger through it, versus the fake pair just feels like kind of rougher. But like I said, it's kind of hard to tell on that type of stuff if you don't have them side by side. So last but not least, we're gonna go into the toe box of the shoe, and right off the bat on the fakes, the holes are a lot bigger versus the authentic pair. They're nice and sleek, super noticeable when you have these side by side. Kind of the placement of the holes as well. They're kind of, once you see the real pair, you would see they're a lot more lined up versus the fake pair is not as lined up. But the big thing on these was the whole difference. This is a bigger size, but man, yeah, it's almost like you can see fully in through the shoe. It's really black versus the authentic pair. You can see some like leather in there still. That's a good sign. So I know a lot of people like to use the BlackLight to help out with the authentication process, but man, with this one, nothing, no stamps, no marks or anything like that. I know there's some fakes out there that still, not the really good fakes, they leave the stamps and the stitching marks are visible with the BlackLight. But like I said, with this one, it's a pretty good fake, nothing visible, nothing different from the authentic pair that lit up. So be careful out there, guys. The light is not always 100% guaranteed. You still gotta have your sneaker knowledge and legit check knowledge as well on point, because someone could have just put this on the authentic pair box and you would have just said, oh yeah, these are good. It happens to a lot of people, so just be careful out there. That wraps it up for today's legit check video. I hope you guys learned and gained some knowledge on how to authenticate a Jordan 1 Low Travis Scott Fragment. If you did, make sure you guys like this video, and most importantly, make sure you're subscribed to our channel. With all that being said, go check out our Instagram at DiverseSole.sb and our website at www.DiverseSoleSB.com. Link will be provided down below. And most importantly, remember, be different, be you, stay diverse.